Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, Deb is in historic Lecompton, what was originally going to become the capital of the state. The city of Lecompton is preserving that history and archiving the memories that have been collected and sharing them with the public. So tune in to learn a little of the history and find out what you can experience in historic Lecompton. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. Around Kansas, brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family.
Welcome to Around Kansas from Lane University in downtown Lecompton, Kansas. With me is Paul Bondmeyer, who is the president of the Lecompton Historical Society. Paul, this is just one of the best museums in Kansas and one of the best historical societies. So I know that this building itself has a lot of significance. So let's talk about number one, what it was intended to be and how it evolved into what it is now.
Okay, in 1856, the federal government appropriated $50,000 to construct the Capitol building here in Lecompton, and they finished it up to the bottom of the first floor windows. And at about that time, the United States House of Representatives rejected the Lecompton Constitution 120 to 112. This followed the Senate having approved it 33 to 25 and President Buchanan urging adoption. And so at this point then the construction on the building came to an end because that was the end of Lecompton as to be the capital.
So this, where we're sitting now, was going to be the capital of the state of Kansas?
Yes, and when it was finished as Lane University, they only finished the center portion. They did not add the east and west wings. Mm-hmm. So in 1865 it was deeded to the United Brethren Church, and they decided to have a university here. They said they would name it after the man who pledged the most money, and James Lane, a radical Free Stater, seized that opportunity to try and embarrass Lecompton by having the university named after a Free Stater when they were pro-slavery. He pledged $2,000. He did not fulfill his pledge, but the United Brethren Church felt like they should fulfill theirs, so they named it after him. They finally finished this building in 1882. Prior to that, from 1865 to 1882, it was held in the Rowena Hotel, which was a three-story stone hotel a block west of here where the legislators stayed. Mm-hmm. The university stayed in operation until 1902, when in the 1890s, the United Brethren Church here got into a bitter disagreement over joining secret organizations, which was lodges. And so it weakened the university financially, and the radicals built their own church, which is still standing as the community building, and the regular ones continue to meet upstairs in the chapel here.
So while this was a university, there's a real interesting history of a couple of folks who met here while it was a university. So why don't you share that with us?
Well, in 1884, Ida Stover and David Eisenhower met here as students and went to school here for 1 year. Then on September 25th, 1885, they were married upstairs in the chapel. She had come to Lecompton because her parents died in Staunton, Virginia, and some Stovers were living in Topeka, so she came here to live with them, and he came from Abilene, and that's where their meeting took place, is here.
Wow. And Paul, one of the most exciting things you have on display right now are these incredible maps. And they're in your library here, and the public can come in and take a look at these maps now, thanks to, was this a Freedom's Frontier grant that accomplished that?
And the Ross and Margaret Wolfkuhl Charitable Trust.
So what are these maps?
Well, in 1988, a gentleman who had lived most of his life from the Lecompton Prairie area passed away, and he willed us this extensive map collection. At the time, we stored them in a secure place, and then the opportunity came when, just a year ago, when an individual could write a grant for Freedom's Frontier, and it was accepted, and through the Kansas State Historical Society we partnered, and they were digitalized, and we selected 30 of the approximately 70 maps that dealt with Kansas and territorial history and the United States. And they are a fabulous collection, unusual to have that outside of the libraries of universities or private collections.
Stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more of Around Kansas in historic Lecompton.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
Welcome back to Around Kansas, and with me is Paul Bonmeyer with the Lecompton Historical Society. This building, this incredible building, is artifact enough, but when this became the Lecompton Historical Society headquarters and museum in 1969, you had some incredible artifacts to go in it, and I know you've been adding to that ever since. So where did the core of this collection come from?
The core of it came from Lecompton residents or former Lecompton residents. Our Historical Society has over 600 members, and one of the offshoots of having the high school closed and combined with Perry is the fact that the Lecompton Alumni Association has always had an annual banquet, and they always kept track of all the addresses from way back.
Wow.
And each year an invitation is sent out, and because of this we publish the Bald Eagle 4 times a year, the Lecompton Historical Society, and a lot of our membership outside of Kansas comes from former students here at Lecompton High School.
So what are some of the things that are most special to you?
Well, we're sitting in something that's very, very special to a lot of people. It's the High School Hall of Fame.
Sure.
And historically, it doesn't have a lot to do with Kansas and national history, but it's a very, very important part of this museum because all the class pictures are here and all the class photos or the trophies. Mm-hmm. And so it's a trip down memory lane for many people when they come here.
Now, how long did Lecompton have a high school?
The high school was here in operation until from 1902 until 1970.
And then, as you said, they merged with Perry.
Perry, yes.
Yeah. So, talk about some, now the Eisenhowers, are there items that are related to them?
Well, we have a display that has a local lady made the duplicate of the Eisenhower wedding dress, mm-hmm. and they are standing by a fireplace that was from the governor's mansion that was constructed here by Governor Stanton in mm-hmm. the late 1850s. Mm-hmm. And of course, David Eisenhower came for our dedication, and then Mary Jean Eisenhower came several years ago when we reenacted the 125th anniversary of the wedding.
Now, and the Eisenhowers were married here in Lecompton,
yes.
Not in this building, but in Lecompton.
Well, he says in his memoirs they were married upstairs in the chapel.
Oh, really?
Yes, and yes.
Wow.
And so there is another article that they were married in a home.
Right.
So you can take your pick as to where.
Wow. What?
Yes.
My gosh. Lecompton saved the world then, didn't they? You bring together the two people that created mm-hmm. Ike. That's pretty amazing. Now, what about Civil War related or Bleeding Kansas related? What do you have as far as that goes?
Well, we have a number of cannonballs that were found at Camp Sackett and at Fort Titus, which was fought on August 16, 1856, when the Free Staters were coming to sack and burn Lecompton, and this battle took place. 3 people were killed and 14 people were injured, and it's really the first battle in which there were actual casualties. Mm-hmm. Blackjack was the first skirmish, but this was the first where there was really casualties. Mm-hmm. Titus himself left Kansas and founded Titusville, Florida.
Right. Now, where was Fort Titus from here?
Fort Titus is 2 miles south of Lecompton.
Okay, and is that part of what you guys reenact with the...
Well, every 3 years we try and reenact the Battle of Fort Titus. Mm-hmm. And of course, Camp Sackett is where they held John Brown Jr. and Charles Robinson while waiting trial for treason.
Oh, it's spectacular. This is really awesome. Folks, see what more they've got to offer. We'll be right back.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, Sure Crop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. Sure Crop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose Sure Crop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
I'm Deb Beisel, and when I'm not filming around Kansas, I'm the historian in residence here at Historic Topeka Cemetery. Now, one of my favorite episodes, of course, was on the cemetery here. And you know what? If you miss seeing that, you can go back and watch it anytime. All those great episodes of Around Kansas are archived on our website. So if you'll go to agaminkansas.com, click on Around Kansas, and you'll find all your favorite spots. So if you happen to miss one, like this one on the cemetery, or if there's just one you want to watch over and over again or share with your friends, share with some of the people who might have been featured there, feel free to do that. And in the meantime, come out to Topeka and visit me in this lovely historic spot. I look forward to seeing you.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Welcome back. I'm sitting here with Paul Bonmeyer in Lecompton, and there's just so much to talk about in this museum. There's no way we can describe it all to you today. But I'm sitting here looking at two portraits, Jim Lane and Mr. Calhoun, that are just incredible works of art if they had no historic significance whatever, but they do. And Paul, why don't you talk about those two really wonderful works of art?
We just received this painting about 2 years ago. It came from the great-grandson who lived in Massachusetts, and it had been hanging in his parents' home all these years. And when they passed away, he thought that it should be in Lecompton, and so we brought it back and had it restored. And it's looks very much like Wild Jim Lane. And the other is John Calhoun. John Calhoun, again, this came from Michigan, and it's the great-grandson who brought this back. And John Calhoun was president of the Lecompton Constitution Convention. And he was good friends with Abraham Lincoln in Illinois, taught him how to survey, and then was appointed Surveyor General, and eventually became president of the Lecompton Constitution.
So he was appointed Surveyor General in the Kansas Territory.
Kansas-Nebraska Territory,
Okay.
yes.
Wonderful. Well, they're just wonderful works of art. There's so many works of art. That new one that you just had donated, the painting of downtown Lecompton.
Yes.
In the 20s or 30s?
In the 20s. That's when it was painted, but it's a painting of probably an era around 1915. And It was connected through Ralph Miller, who lived in Oregon as a basketball coach after he retired or left Wichita State, and they had it sent back to us because they thought it belonged in Lecompton.
Well, thank goodness they did. It's incredible, beautiful work of art. Now we've got 3. How many floors are here?
3.
3. Okay, so exhibits all over, but the chapel upstairs. Now, was that originally a chapel?
That was originally a chapel, and it has 4 paintings at the back of the room that depict Lecompton's history. The founding of Lecompton, when it was called Bald Eagle, the Battle of Fort Titus, Constitution Hall, when James Lane was trying to intimidate the Lecompton Constitutional Convention from voting, and then Lane University's here. It has red carpet because the last student who attended Lane said there was a red runner. And the pews were white because they were donated to us. It has the original pulpit, a copy of the territorial seal.
Because you've got that wonderful room, you can use that for all kinds of events, and you guys have some great stuff up there.
Well, it's used for our reenactment for when we have motor coach tours or school groups. We do our Bleeding Kansas play. And then, of course, we extensively decorate this museum for Christmas in November and December, and we have about 30 vintage trees with antique and vintage decorations and a large tree, and we have a Christmas Vespers the first Sunday in December.
And that Christmas Vespers, can you get reservations like a year ahead of time? Because that's always, that's standing room only, isn't it?
And we end it by playing Silent Night on this 1857 melodeon that was given to us.
Come again and again, because it's going to take a lot of visits to see everything you've got
It's
here.
pretty special at Christmas, if I say so myself.
Oh, it is, it is. Paul, thanks so much.
Well, thank you.
We'll be right back with more of Around Kansas.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Turn to a Central National Bank Ag Professional. You'll be in good company. They'll help you track expense lines, manage variable input costs, assess ground agreements, pick a crop protection plan. These times demand Ag Professionals. Central National Bank. You could profit from what they know. Ag operations run better on Central Time.
Central National Bank, money for life.
Member FDIC in your hometown since 1884.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
I'm Deb Beisel. Welcome to Around Kansas, and we're in Lecompton at Constitution Hall with Tim Ruiz, who is the site director. Tim, good to have you with us.
Deb, thank you very much for letting me come on.
Okay, this is one of the most significant sites in Kansas history, and of course has a big place in national history. So why don't you talk a little bit about the Constitution Hall itself?
Okay. I've been at Constitution Hall since we opened the building as a state historic site. It's operated by the Kansas Historical Society. That happened in 1995. So Constitution Hall is one of the youngest state historic sites in the state system, but one of the oldest buildings in Kansas. Constitution Hall has been in Lecompton for, this is 2014, so it's been 158 years that it's been around.
Now, it was built as a seat of government. This was not created as a commercial building. It was built as a government building. Is that right?
Well, actually, Congress, once Lecompton was designated as the official territorial capital, and this happened in the summer of 1855, when the first territorial legislature, also nicknamed the bogus legislature by the Free State men, they were meeting at Shawnee Mission, which is still there in Johnson County near Fairway. They designated Lecompton as the official capital of Kansas. So of course Lecompton, formerly known as Bald Eagle, renamed for the territorial Supreme Court Chief Justice Samuel D. Lecompton. Lecompton became a boom town overnight. And of course the government came into town. Lecompton was not prepared, but enterprising businessmen in town realized the opportunity they had, and one of those enterprising businessmen was the sheriff of Douglas County, Samuel Jones. So Samuel Jones owned quite a bit of property in Lecompton. He was the secretary of the Lecompton Town Association. And he also owned a sawmill down on the Kaw River, and he produced cottonwood and black walnut and oak lumber. And Jones built Constitution Hall, privately built, a speculative building, a rental hall. So when it was put up in 1856, it was probably known as Sam Jones's Commercial Building.
Oh, so it was a commercial enterprise to start with.
But a block east of here, up on Capitol Hill, Congress appropriated $50,000 to the territorial government of Kansas, and they began the construction of what they thought would be the state capitol building of Kansas. So in the interim, and it would take, several years to complete a stone capitol. If you look at the architect's plans for the state capitol in Lecompton, it's very similar to what our east wing of the State House in Topeka looks like today. So that would take a few years. So in the meantime, Samuel Jones would be renting out his commercial building to actually two government entities. The top floor of Constitution Hall was rented to the territorial government of Kansas as a legislative hall, territorial courtroom for the district court, and the Supreme Court would convene there. And the lodges would meet there, Masonic lodges. And the namesake of the building, that's where in the fall of 1857, famous Lecompton Constitutional Convention was convened, and they drafted the famous Lecompton Constitution. Then down on the bottom floor, Sheriff Jones rented that to the United States government. That was the very first land office ever to open in Kansas territory. And of course there were a couple of land attorneys back there too. They set up shop. They had a couple of rooms in the back of the first floor of Constitution Hall.
So when Lecompton was founded, what did it have going for it? It's situated on the river.
Right, it's on the Kansas River, and it was founded by Democrats, which was probably the number one thing. The Democratic Party was in control during the territorial period, and being Democratic meant also synonymous with being pro-slavery. Nationally, administrations of Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Democrat, pro-slavery.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome to Kansas, gateway to Oz, under the rainbow hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.